We were talking about youth and unemployment, and whether if you had more spaces in leadership in the government where youth were represented and represented adequately, whether it would actually curb unemployment. Now, Steve, you wanted to jump in and touch on something that
I felt like she
Julie
might
said.
have misplaced my point. Under the right to education, it means that any youth must be in a position to access the basic education, which is primary and secondary education. That's enough to empower you, because we are not only taught how to pass these exams, but in our curriculum we accommodate communication, things like communication skills and other tertiary skills.
Do you think that that's enough given the world that we live in which the jobs that were available even 5 years ago, some of them are obsolete. We have driverless cars coming in. We have, just the kind of opportunities that are available to the youth now are not necessarily the ones that are being taught
True.
in schools.
Dynamics have changed. But my point is, everyone has got a role to play. We cannot fit everywhere as a society. Now, so long as you are done with the basic education, which is high school, there are a lot of things you can exploit. Having a driving license and driving a car called a Uber is also a form of employment. You don't have to be bright enough to, Again, farming is something youths of this country have taken lightly. Most of us are good in farming. We can go and do, because we have a role to play in the society. We cannot fit,
Yeah, I agree with him, but do we even have those lands to go farm?
The lands to go, and also farming, I think, is one of the most
point is
difficult spaces
innovation.
to also succeed, and that there's so many people and gatekeepers.
Now, the
in
point
this.
is innovation. When we speak of farming, we have a lot of organizations championing for improvement in agricultural, whatever, Now, as a youth, what we need to do is now linking up with the youth organizations. Now we have the National Youth Council Act. I think it was inducted in 2009 by the government. It's in the constitution, NYC is mandated to ensure that youths are informed, Then NYC should also advocate for the space of youth in the government.
Okay. So you are of the belief that the youth should be a little bit more proactive in creating jobs for themselves and trying to remove themselves from poverty.
Yeah, we also have that responsibility.
That
as
we have a
youths,
responsibility as individuals, as human beings. Do you agree? It feels like you're a little bit on the fence
It's
there,
really
Julie.
50-50. We can't put it entirely on the youth.
Yeah,
we cannot.
right.
Just to say, in this country we have enough for everyone.
Yes.
The problem we have is not even with the leadership. The problem we have is we have so uncultured ourselves into the point that we don't really believe in the systems we put in place.
Do you believe in the systems?
Yes, I do believe in the Constitution, because that is the system that should run us, rather direct us on how we should live as a people. But the problem, we don't believe in our Constitution. And because we are so unconstitutional, that is the reason why even the breed of leaders that we elect definitely are not as part to the definition of what the Constitution wants. Because the Constitution as enshrined definitely defines what kind of leaders we need. In the Leadership and Integrity, Chapter 6 of the Constitution speaks about leadership and integrity, the kind of leaders we need. The same young people that we always do rant. I'm a young person, and I can't exclude myself from it. We are the same people that normally fights for them to be in those positions they are in. And then later on, after they are already there, we cry again, these people are basically oppressing us. But we are the people who placed them there. They didn't go there by any means, their own means. We are the people who elected them, the mandate. And then you see, within the Constitution, like the public resources, in chapter 13 or 12 of the Constitution on public finance, it's all there. The public servants that you have in chapter 13 also speaks about how they should do their thing. But the problem we are having is the system. We have a proper system. We have a good system. Money is there. But the problem is the money that is meant to help the citizen, maybe 20% will get to us, 80% will get to a few people's pockets. That is the problem. So the moment we get to the point where we sit down as a people, examine ourselves first, because we cannot blame the government, yet I'm the same person who installed that person in power. I can't really do that.
There ought to be a lot of self-reflection
Yes.
and
So-
an honest conversation.
Yeah,
with
so we need to
ourselves.
sit down, think what we want, and then we'll
Right.
get it right.
All right, so I want to try and get into the different programs that you're running. Tell me about yours. That is Social Justice Movement, Julie.
Wow, the social justice movement is a consortium of the different justice centers in the country. As of now, we have 24 justice centers, 16 in Nairobi, and the others in Kisumu and Mombasa. The ones in Nairobi are centered in all informal settlements of Nairobi. All of them that you can think about, Kibera, Mukuru, Dandora, Kayole, and they're all centered on issues of social justice. Because for Kayole, the issue of water is rampant, and there's an element of police abuse of power, especially exploitation that you talked about. In the constitution, exploitation of young men every Friday to Sunday in the police stations. It is crazy. And these are poor people. Actually, what really hurts me is that these are poor young men with zero sources of livelihoods, arrested to finance, because you have to give a bribe to get out, to finance these people who are getting a pay, and these people who are supposed to be protecting you from exploitation, from harm, from all these things. So it really is wrong. And so, and it's youth. The social justice movement is also youth-led. It's a lot of youths who are coming together, and they're all volunteering. Me, I'm studying at school, and I'm working in my community as well. So we come
do
together.
you provide a safe haven for people to report
Yeah.
issues, and
Yeah.
then you take them to...
Now the people who have money, like the IPOA, Amnesty, the people who are able to follow up these issues, because we can't hire a lawyer, for example, or things like that. So we document very well. We know what a good case looks like, has witnesses, what to capture, and blah, blah, blah. So communities come to our spaces and they document all forms of violations, from sexual and gender-based violence, from police brutality and abuse, even land grabbing, all those cases. And then we take them to the relevant institutions mandated within the constitution, like the IPOA.
What are the, say, two main cases that get reported the most? Two types of-
Extrajudicial executions and police abuse of power, like you just arrested for no reason at all. Or I've seen a policeman whip a woman with a baby on her back.
You've seen it.
I have seen, and I will never forget that image. It's entrenched in my mind. I have seen it. I have seen it in Mathare, and I was standing with my mother, and the policemen are just beating people. Imagine they can just decide, like, let's just go to the community and cause havoc or something. Nothing had happened, and now they were just beating people to go to their houses. It was about 7 p.m. and my mom was there and I was there, and I saw the policeman and I was shocked. And he came towards us, and my mom like surrendered, like, please don't beat us. And I was like, why are you surrendering? We've not done anything. So instilling fear in us, people supposed to be protecting us and making us feel safe in our own communities, terrorizing us. And then we realized it's not just in Mathare, it's also in Dandora, it's also in Kayole, it's also in every other ghetto. So we felt like what you said, we can't work as an island. We are stronger together.
Yeah.
So the social justice movement, all of us came together to fight for our dignity, for dignified lives, even though you're living in the informal settlements, because we realize this is structural violence. A policeman wouldn't beat me if I stood here or tell me to go, because this is uptown. But in Mathare, things change. Probably the same policeman, but you know.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. Tell me about Simama, Sema, Usikike.
All right, Simama, Sema, Usikike is a project funded by Ford Foundation, which is to create that space for young people to sit down together with their leaders and also hear their grievances, give suggestions to the same leaders, and also listen to whatever the leaders have in store for the young people within the community. So basically, Simama, Sema, Usikike, it's a Swahili phrase, definitely to mean stand and hold these people accountable by voicing your opinion. So this project, we basically are running it in two counties, as I did say earlier, as a pilot project, that is in Kisumu and Nairobi. And in Nairobi, we basically are working in the informal settlements in Kariobangi North. That's where we are right now, currently organizing for a community dialogue, I think this Friday, where we'll be having the community leaders, opinion leaders, and also some of the civil servants come sit down with the young people, listen to the young people's grievances, and also the young people will also have to give them their opinion, like this is the way we want you to live with us. They'll also tell the young people how they want the young people to live with them. And then finally, we also are developing a mobile application for the same, where the young people will always have an opportunity to communicate to their leaders directly and get feedback from their leaders real time without their identities being disclosed.
Okay, wow, great. What about you, Steve, with Africa Youth Commission?
As a member of African Youth Commission, it's an act which ensures that youths across the continent are equally empowered. And we realize that most countries, youths are empowered than other countries. So the African...
So you realize that in most countries?
Some countries, youths are more empowered than other countries.
Oh, okay.
We have a case of South Africa, where youths have occupied their space, their political space. Now they are fighting for their space in governance. Yeah? We have a country in Ghana where youths have already achieved their academic space, they have achieved their social space. Now they are fighting for the space in governance. But in Kenya, we have achieved nothing yet. But again, we came up with a program under Africa Youth Commission still called COG. That's a consortium of governance, consultant of research on governance, where we ensure that all these government agencies and bodies, we research on them, then we expose them to the public on how they run youth agenda and youth affairs. We have to know how many youths are employed in the youth ministry, how many youth works under maybe a company like Safaricom, maybe NTV have employed how many youths. These are things we have to expose. At least we have to keep youths informed on how they are being empowered. And you also have to expose those organizations and government departments which do not accomplish their mandate to empower youths by rights. Yeah, so that's our role as COG.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today, for sharing your stories, but also for pursuing your passion with such vigor and focus and intensity. I love it. Thank you. What an inspiration.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. And thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. So I better see you there. For now, have a great rest of the day. And thank you to Parkin by Radisson as well for lending us your beautiful space. Bye, everybody, and see you tomorrow.